Sold by Patricia McCormick. What can I say? Sold is the most emotional book that I have ever read in my life, and it caused a sort of a book hangover for me. And for those of you who don't know, a book hangover is when you read a book that it has such an effect on you that you can't read anything else for an extended amount of time. And for people like me and people in my class that read a lot, this is something that really affects us. So, this is my second book review. The first one was on Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, and if you haven't checked that out, please do. Um, I haven't quite figured, at the time I'm recording this, I haven't quite figured out how to put the picture on top of the video, but if I do, by the time this is need to be submitted, I'll put it right here. So, here it is. Sold. Sold is a story of perseverance. It's a story of betrayal. It's a story of pain and anger and just confusion. So Sold is it's in my top 5 favorite books. It really is. And a book I've never cried from a book before. And Sold, it didn't make me cry, but it's the closest that any book has ever gotten me. So props to you, Patricia McCormick. That was a real page turner, and it really got an emotional stir out of me and the other classmates that I have that I've talked about it with. Well, for those of you who haven't read it, I'll give a little brief description. Sold is about a young girl named Lakshmi, and she is sold from her parents and into the sex trade. Okay, and she's very young. She's 12 or 13, if I recall correctly, and naturally at that age, she doesn't exactly understand what's happening to her. She's told that she's going to move into the city to work as a maid or something, I think. And she's very excited about this because she wants to do anything she can to help support her family because they're going through a rough time financially. And it breaks your heart as you're reading this because you know exactly what's happening to her. You can read the signs. You can see the signs as a reader. But 12, 13-year-old Lakshmi doesn't understand. And it kills you. And she eventually ends up at this house called the Happiness House, which is quite ironic, I think, which is basically a brothel. And people, men from all kinds of different backgrounds and cultures come, and they have sex with these girls that are underage, and over time the girls are just, they become numb to it, which is the most heartbreaking thing I think I could say. They become numb to it, and they become used to it, and they think that if they do it for enough time, they can make back the money that the owner of the brothel spent to pay for them and then be free. But it's all a big lie. They're never going to be released unless they get too sick to work, or they stop complying, or they die. So, and it goes through Lakshmi's experiences and the relationships she makes within the Happiness House with other people, the other girls, the owner of the brothel. And I won't tell you any more of the story to avoid spoiling it, but Sold, wow, dude, it's unbelievable. And what I think is a really big theme of Sold is the relationships you have with people. So Lakshmi, a little girl who was entirely trusting of her family, okay, and her family goes off, and her father sells her to be a sex slave. Her father. The fact that any parent would be capable of doing something like this, and this isn't just a story. This is based off real events. Yeah, the character Lakshmi is fictional, but it's based off things that are happening today. The sex trade is real. Sex trafficking is real. Forced prostitution is real. Like, it's terrible to think about these things, but Patricia McCormick, I read up a little bit on Patricia McCormick, interviewed people who've been a part of this. She interviewed law enforcement officers who have saved people from this horrible phenomenon, and this is happening every single day. There have been incidents of people attempting to traffic college students here in Harrisonburg and Radford and Virginia Tech, I think, and it's wild. And so I think part of this is something you can learn from this story is that no matter what, you think you know someone, you think you can trust someone, anyone is capable of betraying you, and anyone is capable of flipping just like that if it benefits them. So, and I think another thing that it teaches you is that we can't forget about these things like trafficking and other huge important issues because they're happening right in our backyard. Like I mentioned, I-81 is one of the biggest avenues for sex trafficking in the world, and it's right here in Harrisonburg. So I think that Sold is an opportunity for everyone to become more aware of everything that's happening around us, more aware of the important issues that's happening in our world, and we need to. I mean, if more people knew, maybe we could put a stop to it. But at this point, that's just conjecture. So, Sold by Patricia McCormick. Amazing book right here. If I figure that out, how to put it here. Sorry for my hand. Wonderful book. I give it a 10 out of 10. It was amazing. The most emotional book I've ever read. So, if you haven't read Sold, please do. And that's the end of my book talk. Hope you enjoyed it.